going on, Jeromes? Doing a super quick and dirty Q&A session to round out the week. And yeah, so Donatell being fired is the main question. And we got a lot of the same questions. Who's going to be the next DC? So we did edit this down a little bit. So let's get it on. DHVF, which aging longtime Viking that could be on the chopping block this offseason would you most like to keep? Kendricks, Cook, Thielen, etc. I'd keep Harrison. Yeah, unless you count, I do think that Harrison does have some good ball left in him. Unless he counts Za'Darius in that list, then I would keep Za'Darius. But Harrison. Rogue Renegade, in your opinion, what are Kwesi's top 5 musts this offseason? Influx of talent on defense, all 3 levels. Interior offensive line. Additional playmaker in the receiver room. Quarterback of the future. Figure something out with Greg Joseph or kicker TBD. Jacob Perry, who are your top 5 draft prospect fits for the Vikings this offseason? I don't know, Jalen Carter. Jalen Carter, Will Anderson, John Michael Schmitz, Cyrus, Jordan Addison, Jackson Smith and Jigba. I mean, also great thing, like Joey Porter Jr. Great thing is, like, this is a fantastic cornerback class. It's pretty good for interior offensive line. Defensive line is going to be pretty thick as well. So the Vikings are going to be good. Denny Dush, you got the perfect personnel for either 4-3 or 3-4. Which are you running and why? I may go 3-4. Because generally your pass rushers are going to be more versatile, as well as your 3-down linemen are going to be more stout against the run. Plus your interior inside linebackers are going to be heat-seeking missiles. Now 4-3 has been fantastic for the Vikings for a number of years, but I do think that the 3-4 personnel is just a little bit more versatile. Especially it all starts and ends in a 3-4 with that nose tackle. And Harrison Phillips, God love him, he played well this year, but he's not a 3-4 nose tackle. Like, he would be much better as a 4-3 nose tackle or a 3-4-5 tech. So Pedro Brana, after almost a full year, what would Kwesi's worst mistake so far be as GM? I don't know, maybe the Christian Watson trade, although that looks pretty good. I think that Kwesi gets way too much trash for the rookie class. Everyone's calling him a bust. Kwesi didn't foresee Andrew Booth Jr. getting hurt, even though he has a history of it, or Evans having 97 concussions, or Sean breaking his leg. All right, so I think injuries were just bad luck with the Vikings draft class, especially on the defense side of the ball. And for whatever reason, Donatell wouldn't play Asimo over Jordan Hicks, or even Kendricks. So overall, it's too soon to say, but worst mistake I get. Not signing Linval. Not signing Linval before the Eagles did, because obviously he's still playing at a high level. Would have helped the Vikings stuff the run, and also would have freed up Harrison Phillips to play 5 tech. But yeah. Blitz and Godzilla, which Vikings player in their prime would you love to add to this team? I don't know, Randall McDaniel. Randall McDaniel would be a good one. Mick Tingelhoff. I understand, like, he was like a 230-pound center, but yeah, if his game translated to the modern NFL, sure. Of course, Randy Moss is the answer. Yes. Or also Winfield. Yeah. Samuel Lace. Ideally, who'd you trade up for in this draft? I really like Addison. I really like Joey Porter Jr., the cornerback. Witherspoon, the cornerback out of Illinois, makes sense too. I think there's going to be a lot of guys that go in like the teens that would be really tempting to trade up for. Andy Shaw, who do you think is going to be a likely candidate for D coordinator? So if you put in a D coordinator question, sorry, but we filtered it through because there's a lot of them. Fangio or Brian Flores. Specifically between those two, I would pick Flores, but it's pretty close. John, we ever bring back the football cooking show? Yes? Question mark. Sammy, are we bringing back Kirk this offseason? Yes, he's under contract through next year, and it wouldn't shock me at all if he's extended 1 year to help flatten out some of the cap this year. What's your take on picking up Brady? No. Kevin DeCow, should the Vikings take Stetson Bennett late, rounds 5 through 7, if they take a wide receiver or another skill position in the first round? The only problem with Stetson Bennett is, like, he's 97 years old, literally. And that's a problem with Hendon Hooker as well. Just older prospects, you don't get as much mileage out of them as you would younger rookies. So, Penguin 0. Thoughts on 2022 draft class so far? Incomplete. TBD. Michael Converse, are there any Gophers players that you want on the Vikings? John Michael Schmitz, come on. Let's go. At the pivot spot? Come on. Meat Sauce, do you think quarterback of the future this year? Do we get a quarterback of the future this year or wait until next? If the board breaks right, sure, but I wouldn't force it. I think Tanner McKee at 23 would make some sense. I think that if you get Max Duggan sometime day 2, yes, that would make sense. But outside of, I highly doubt that Young or Stroud or Levis or AR get out of the top 10. And so, absent that, I mean, it's kind of pointless. Cello Charlie, trade up for a quarterback this year or wait till next? Again, TBD. It's early, but is there anyone that catches your eye in next year's draft? Oh, Caleb Williams. Heather Stone, who would you rather have on your team, Jared Allen or John Randall? This year specifically, John Randall. Yeah, just put him at that 3-tech spot and let him motor. I mean, with Jared Allen, they would try to stand him up and drop him into coverage. Corey, just to get crazy, but what do you think we would get in a JJ trade? At least 3 1s. 3 1s and probably some change or some players. I think that you would fetch top-tier quarterback trade compensation. M or RN, you've recommended Hoban and Egan. You've recommended John Hardy's in Rochester. Can I get a third restaurant recommendation in the Metro with your favorite dish at that restaurant? So Cameron Bay in Burnsville. It's a small family-run Vietnamese place. It's fantastic. Their egg rolls are great. Their special pho is fantastic. Their seafood pho is really good. Also, Justin Sutherland is a local chef. He's been on Top Chef. It's fantastic. He's got a place called Noise and Cutler that producer Nally and I went to a couple weeks ago. It's really good. I mean, the steaks are fantastic. The menu is seasonal, as well as, this may sound really stupid, but it honestly had the best onion rings I've ever had. And we just ordered it as like a whatever, because we were sitting at the bar having a couple drinks before dinner, and we're just like, let's get something to snack on. So we just randomly picked onion rings, and they were so good. Like, they were so crispy. It had like a dark, I want to say it was like a porter batter. Also had like a blue cheese dip. Oh, so good. So freaking good, man. Crim. Oh, also the Parlor Burger downtown. Or North Loop. Can we please get a solid center in free agency or our runs up the middle? Kirk standing in the pocket can actually work. Agreed. Or in the draft. Metallica, the offense doesn't need a rebuild, but the defense does. So are we Super Bowl contenders next year if we can get a few good players on defense and a new coach? Yes. And I'm actually pretty excited about this full teardown rebuild because I think the Vikings can save a lot of cap. I think the Vikings can bring in a lot of young, tough players. Plus, the entire 2022 draft class with Atamawa getting some time, Asamoah getting some time, as well as Seen, Booth, and Evans coming back from injury. I mean, hell yeah. Dill on down. Could Jefferson want out if he thinks Kirk can't give him a ring? Yes, that's a concern. As well as if Kirk looks to retire in 2 to 3 years and Jefferson doesn't have a clear-cut quarterback of the future, I mean, it's not even just being a diva. It's like he needs a quarterback to get him the ball so that this team can win games and win the Super Bowl. That's really all it is. Derek Baker. Which Vikings veteran contract could fetch the best draft picks if Kwesi / Cam traded him? Veterans under contract, Daniil. I actually do think that Daniil is like the only one. Because no one's trading for Thielen's contract. Obviously, no one's trading for Dalvin. Even though, if you go on Twitter, like, Vikings fans think that someone's going to trade for Dalvin's contract. I mean, who's trading for a 28-year-old running back making $10.4 million per year? No one, right? But McCaffrey didn't. Stop it. Harrison, no. Peterson's a free agent. Zadarius, I don't know, maybe. Kendricks, no. Yeah. Eric Anderson, if Bradbury walks a free agency, should the Vikings look to drafting John Michael Schmitz? Yes. I think the JMS is going to go second round. Vikings obviously don't have a second round pick because of the Hockenson trade. So, I mean, it could be like a trade down spot, acquire more picks from 23. If no one strikes your fancy, you take JMS at the bottom of the first or top of the second. Go from there. Kevin Kunder, does Cam call John Lynch his mentor and ask the price of Trey Lance because Purdy isn't giving his job back? Yes. I think they should seriously look into acquiring Trey Lance, the pride of Marshall, Minnesota, NDSU Bison. Drew Wanzek. If we could have a former player as a coach on defense, who would you want? Jack Del Rio. I mean, Del Rio is actually a defensive coordinator, former head coach. I don't know. Winfield, I feel like would be good. Hell, Patrick Peterson. Nailed it. John Randall, just for the energy. Everson would be awesome, too. Yeah. Walter Hibbard, favorite game day snack? I like steak. Steak, chicken wings in the air fryer. Really, really good, man. Other than that, since it's been colder, we've been doing a lot of soups on game day, soups and chilies. So we actually make a ton of soups. Like I feel like the soup Nazi from Seinfeld sometimes. Just lots. So our go-to is obviously, since we're in Minnesota, chicken wild rice with a little thick, THICC. So you make like a roux with the flour. Also add a little bit of cream. Ooh, win the day, baby. Drew Smith. Do the Vikings need a deeper shade of purple? I feel like the purple used to be much darker, better. Now it seems like a verge of violet. Nah, I think it's fine now. Although, if you're talking about way back in the day, like with the dark purple helmets with the gray face masks, I could be down with that. Calvin Bonin, Max Dugan in the third. I mean, if he falls that far, hell yeah. He's a gamer, even though whatever happened in Georgia, whatever. But I like it. User, who are you rooting for to win the Super Bowl? The Bills. 0 for 4 to 1-4, just like the Vikings hope to do. Also, I still got love for Diggs. I still got love for Leslie Frazier. So, yeah, go get yourself a ring. Also for DeMar. Yeah, it'd be just a great story. Cole, does Kevin O'Connell know how to run the ball on 3rd and 1? It's a good question, man. Or does he not trust the interior offensive line, which is also a valid question. Robert Baudette. Aging veteran most likely to be retained on a restructured deal, and one most likely to be cut. I think that Harrison is most likely to be retained. Most likely to be cut is Dalvin. Yeah. Charlie Brickford. What was your first Vikings jersey? I want to say it was Chris Carter, but also might have been like a Warren Moon when he got here in '94, because I was like, what, 7? Yeah. Fly with Braden. No, it had to be a Chris Carter, because I had one when I was super young. So, probably when CC got here. Thankfully, Donna Shell is fired, and Insta comments are funny, calling da-da-da. How long do you think it'll take before the Vikings get a DC? I don't know, probably a week. Maybe 2. And will you let your son play football? If so, what position? If he wants to play football, sure. And I know that some parents are concerned about their kids playing football because of head injuries. And yes, I fully understand that. But also, with the rules and equipment and just the awareness of brain injuries and potential for brain injuries and head trauma, now is the safest time to ever play the game. So if the kid wants to play, yes, I would start him off in flag football for sure. I would not have him play contact until 7th, 8th grade, which is starting to become the trend. And my kid's not going to be very big, but he's already pretty fast. So, I don't know, receiver or safety, one of the two. Which position will the Vikings go for? Wide receiver, cornerback, offensive line. Yes, all 3 of them. CTF Flambeau. If we let Madison walk and trade Dalvin to the Bills, do we think of drafting Bijan? Robinson is a hell of a player. I think that he's probably going to go in the top half of the draft, so hopefully the Vikings don't have this issue. I mean, if he falls to 23, you'd have to think about it, but it just really doesn't jive with Kwesi's analytical approach. Even though, yeah, in Cleveland they had Nick Chubb, and they paid Nick Chubb, but Nick Chubb was worth the money, right? And also, Nick Chubb was a 2nd-round pick. So, if he's there at 23, yes, I'm not moving up for him. Also, I do have faith in Kinkene as well as Ty Chandler as a 1-2 combination. Big Jim. Should the Vikings go quarterback or wide receiver in the 2023 draft? Yes, depending on the board. Conan Billy Bone. Do we trade everyone and really rebuild this team? Trade Kirk and anyone of value? Not a full trade. I think it's less about trades and more about parting with rough veteran contracts. So looking at Thielen, looking at Kendricks, looking at, Hicks is under contract. He won't be back. Maybe Za'Darius, freeing up that cap space, $12 million plus. Not bringing back Peterson. Not bringing back Harrison or cutting Harrison. So, I don't know. There's gonna be a lot of changes. I just don't see like trades though. Russ Mullins, with Ed being gone now, what about Jim Leonard as DC? We actually listed Jimmy Leonard as a potential candidate. I think he was like 5 or something like that. Where he does have ties with Kevin O'Connell. They're teammates with the Jets. He does have ties with Mike Pettin. Pettin was his DC when Leonard played for the Jets. And Wisconsin, I mean, their defense is good, and Leonard was fine as interim head coach. So I would consider it. Certainly, even though he's a stupid Badger. Manny, is Devin Witherspoon the Vikings' first-round pick? So the cornerback out of Illinois, he's really good. He's really good. He's long. He's physical, which is a recurring theme for cornerbacks in this class. He's really impressive at Illinois, despite Brett Bielema being his coach. Vikings fan, way too early predictions for record and playoff success next year. Yes, but also, I don't know, 12-5, win the division. Brady in a Brady in a Vikings jersey because he won't ask for much. No, I don't see that happening. I think that Brady's going to go to the Raiders, reunite with McDaniel. They got Devontae out there. We'll see. User Brian Asamoah and trade for Patrick Queen, and boom, best linebacker core in the game. Asamoah, yes. Trading for Queen, yeah. User, are you more scared of infinite universe or a finite universe? Finite. Because even though it's obviously big, just knowing that there's an end to it, that would kind of scare me. But, I mean, if you believe in the Big Bang Theory, the universe is still expanding. It's still growing and showing, which is super interesting to me. But that's it. That is condensed Q&A. Thanks for coming along. Thanks for submitting questions. Let us know your thoughts and our thoughts in the comment section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Want to support the work? Put a little something in the Venmo. But till next time, Skull Production Value.